mode.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome today. We appreciate everybody attending today. Missed everything going on with people working at home. It looks like we have a good group today. So we'll get started here. I just want to welcome everybody. My name is Jay Haskamp. I work out of our Waite Park, Minnesota office. I'm one of our technical folks here at Frontier. And today we're going to talk about utilizing Sync Manager for remote operations. I'd also like to introduce Dylan Jones, who's also one of our tech guys here at Frontier. And again, thanks for attending, and I'll turn it over to you, Dylan.
Alrighty, thank you, Jay. And hello, everyone. Here's a little bit about myself and my contact information, if you must know. I'm an applied geospatial engineer with Frontier Precision for about the past 5 years, and I work out of our Maple Grove, Minnesota office. Feel free to contact me with any questions after today's webinar, and I'll try to point you in the right direction. So in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about how to utilize Trimble Sync Manager, of course, with a lot of people working remotely, and just the interconnected web-based format of sharing data these days. Trimble Sync Manager is the utility that we can use to exchange data between our office and our field personnel using the Trimble Connect platform. And it's a great way to start sharing and collaborating on projects going forward. So in today's session, I'm going to give you an overview of the core workflow of Trimble Sync Manager, which is to create jobs and projects and set up a team with a bunch of other data that you can actually package up and give to the field person, and connect that all through the cloud with your Trimble Access data collector. We're going to capture some data in the field and then show you how to upload that back up to the cloud for review in the office, generating reports and downloading the data. You can see here on the outskirts of the core workflow, we have the integration with Trimble Business Center as well. There is a direct link from Business Center to push data to Sync Manager, as well as a direct link to import data from Sync Manager to Trimble Business Center. So these are, of course, optional steps if you are a TBC user that make just that integration a lot more seamless when it comes to working with TBC and your field collected survey data. So getting started with Trimble Sync Manager, first of all, what you're going to want to do is set up a Trimble Connect account. So I mentioned that Trimble Connect is basically our cloud platform that we're sharing all this data on. So in order to set up a Trimble Connect account, what you need to do is create a Trimble identity, which is very simple and easy to do. I'll show you exactly where you need to go to do that. And if you do need some help, just ask us or ask your local Trimble representative. Step 2 is to download and install Trimble Sync Manager. You can install this on any Windows PC. And this is going to be your utility that allows you to create projects. So step 3, creating projects, which are basically folders that hold your survey files. And then creating jobs within Trimble Sync Manager as well is one of the things that you can do. You can create jobs either in the cloud using Trimble Sync Manager right then and there, or you can create jobs in the field on the data collector itself. There is one important thing to note coming up in the next couple slides when it comes to creating projects, however. Step 5 there, downloading the project and the job to the data collector. So we need to download it from the cloud onto our device. And then any supplemental files that you have included with the data packet would download with that automatically as well. So those could be things like PDFs, land XML files, DXF files. If you're staking out a road corridor, or if you have a text file or CSV file of control points, all that supplemental information will come along with the job file when you download the project and the job. And then we're ready to start surveying. So that's the basic workflow to get started with Trimble Sync Manager. I'll go into that a little bit more in depth here now. First of all, setting up a Trimble Connect account, essentially what we need to get started is the serial number or the serial numbers of all of your survey controllers. So a lot of times, depending on the dealer that you work with, these will already be stored and maybe applied to an email address. But essentially what we need is the contact details, specifically an email address and a name and a company name. And that email or that person will become an entitlement administrator for the Trimble Connect business account. The service is free to use as long as you have a controller with Trimble Access under software warranty. And you can have up to 3 user accounts buried underneath that controller, as long as that controller is under warranty, of course. That's the big thing there. So free service, up to 3 accounts per controller, meaning you can have 3 users with access to the cloud information at any time. And that Trimble Connect business account allows for unlimited projects and cloud data storage as well. Contact your local Trimble sales rep for warranty details. If you're unsure about, if your Trimble Access software warranty is expired or if you need to renew, just contact your local sales rep and they should be able to help you out. So once your Trimble dealer or your sales rep applies the email address to the controller, so that's something we do on our end. We apply that email address to the controller, and that person then becomes the entitlement administrator. So that entitlement administrator receives an email similar to what you see there on the right, and that's just coming straight from Trimble. There's 2 links there. There's a button that says Claim My Trimble Identity. Okay, so if you haven't created a Trimble identity yet, you'll just click that Claim button and get that all set up so that your account is now attached to your organization name. And then going further, you can start managing and setting up your team members. So this is where you're going to start adding other users within the organization who will be using Trimble Sync Manager and accessing data from the cloud. So all users will at some point need to create a Trimble identity. So the easiest way to do that is to go to connect.trimble.com. You're going to click the sign in button up in the top right corner of the web page. And then it'll ask you to sign in with your Trimble Connect account. So if you do not have one yet, you're going to choose the Create New Trimble ID hyperlink there that's pointed to on the right. And then you'll fill out a form with your email address and some contact details, and you should be all set and ready to go. You'll get a confirmation email from Trimble saying that it's all set up and ready. The entitlement administrator will have access to what's called the Trimble License Manager. So that's what I'm showing here. The Trimble License Manager is where you're going to go in and add users to the Trimble Connect business organization. So I mentioned that you have up to 3 users per controller. So under mine, I only have 1 controller, so it's not exactly listing out all the controllers here. But what you would see if you're someone who has 2 or more controllers with Trimble Access warranties, you're going to see 3 slots per serial number. And it doesn't matter which serial number you add the user to, as long as they're assigned to one of these slots, they should have access to the Trimble Connect cloud where your data is being stored. This page also will show you the expiration date of your Trimble Access warranty. So just another place for you to verify that information. You can see here on the right, we can assign users, and then we can add users as well in the menu on the left. So this is just a place where the entitlement administrator will start setting up and managing the team members for the Trimble Connect business account. So once everything is set up on the back end, we have all our users added, we're going to install Trimble Sync Manager on our office PCs. So this can be downloaded from either one of these links, and maybe what we'll do is we'll send out a PDF with these links after the webinar. But essentially, if you do a quick Google and just type in Trimble Sync Manager download, you should be able to find the download links there very easily. So you're going to download Trimble Sync Manager to your computer. For those of you with Trimble Business Center, I think version 5.0 might be 5.1 or newer. Trimble Sync Manager will install automatically when you install Trimble Business Center. Okay, so I'm going to give you a brief overview of what you will find in Trimble Sync Manager, and then I'll go into a live demo. So when you open up Trimble Sync Manager, you're going to log in with your Trimble ID, and you'll be landed at the projects page. So on the projects page, this is where, again, where I said you have all your subfolders. Just think of these projects as subfolders that hold your Trimble survey files. Okay, the big thing that you have to remember with all of this is that the project must be created in Sync Manager. If you do it on the data collector, it creates that project as a local project and does not and when you have a local project, it does not have the capabilities of syncing up to the cloud. So always create your projects in Sync Manager, okay? So on this page, create new projects. You can add a thumbnail image to your project, and then you can delete old projects and whatnot. Going forward, once we've created a project, we can set up the project, we can edit the project name, we can add descriptions and customer references, kind of what you see on the right there. This is under the project properties. We can indicate a location. So that comes in here a little bit later in the live demo, what that means. But yeah, there's basically a web background map there that you can zoom into where the location of the project is at. And going forward, we can set up project templates. So assigning templates to your project just allows you to upload job files, JXL files, or even JOT, which are the job templates that you'll see in Trimble Access. You can add in those files to make it easier and more standardized when you're creating new jobs. Okay, so more consistent settings across the board for everyone to use. Under the References tab, we can add in additional project data. So these are files that are shared between jobs. So any job that you have open, you can access these files. They'll usually be input as active map files if you're familiar with Trimble Access. And so these are the files that you can add with your project, and they'll be downloaded when you download the project onto the data collector. This is just an example of packaging up a bunch of digital data to be able to be used out in the field. And you're not limited to just active map files. You can add global. There on the right, I have a global features FXL file. So that's my feature code library. You can attach Word documents, PDFs, spreadsheets, any file really you can upload here in this screen and allow the field user to download that to their data collector. Under project reporting, I'll show you this as a live demo. Project reporting allows you to download and add style sheets. So when you're creating reports, you can do that in a batch process. All you need to do is add the report files, those style sheet files, to the appropriate spot. And with a click of a button, you can generate multiple reports within Trimble Sync Manager. So that makes it really easy to manage your reports and generate those in a batch type process. And then lastly here, we have team members. So we can add in team members who will be able to use the data from the project. They'll see the project load onto their data collector when they sync, and basically giving people either an admin type role or just a user type role, depending on what you want them to have access to, either edit or view. Okay, and then I mentioned that this workflow also integrates with Trimble Business Center. So there's a Trimble Sync command within Trimble Business Center, and that allows you to grab existing line work, points, whatever it might be, and package that up into a selection, and you can embed points into jobs. You can create CSV files or DXF files, surfaces, all supported here with the sync command. And what that does is it links directly to the project that is opened in Sync Manager. So when it comes to creating a job in Sync Manager, it's going to look very similar to what it looks like within Trimble Access. So you're going to give it a job name and a few other optional items there. You can assign the job to a specific person. What that'll do is shoot an email over to the person, and they'll basically be told, hey, you've got this job assigned to you, with a little comment, and that way they know what they need to do for that day. We can add in job files, more project files, and then this is where we're setting up our units, coordinate systems, and other settings that you should be familiar with if you're an existing Trimble Access user. So our work for setting up our job and our project is complete on the Sync Manager side. Now we're transitioning over to Trimble Access. So the picture I have displayed there in Trimble, or on the right, is Trimble Access version 2018 or newer. Basically, we're logging in with our same Trimble ID, and what we're going to see are cloud, I guess, projects that are synced to the cloud. You're going to see a cloud icon to the right of the project name, which indicates that it's a project on the cloud. Okay, if you don't see a cloud icon, that typically will mean that it was a locally created project. Okay, so those projects and whatever's inside those projects cannot be synced up to the cloud. So that's the importance of creating your project within Sync Manager for that to happen. So here we're going to download our projects, download our reference files, and then once the project's downloaded, we'll download our job file. We can download any of the linked files that are associated with the job file. And then there's items on this page that allow you to change the job file status, and we can filter and search for job files. And then on this page, you also have your copy, import, export, and properties button at the bottom. So now we're going to start surveying. So we're going to collect our field data. Maybe we're doing some stakeout, measuring our COGO. All of your linked files and active map files will be accessible because we downloaded them from the cloud. We just need to go into our properties or into our active map layers button and turn those on. And then once we're done collecting data, we're going to upload the changes to the cloud. So we can do that a couple different ways. We can change the job status to fieldwork complete, or we can hit, there's a tiny ... button up in the top right corner, which allows you to then upload to the cloud from there. When we get back to the office, or if there's an office person specifically assigned, that person will be able to track the changes, QA, QC points, generate reports. You can assign some additional tasks, which is what the rework button is for, and download the files locally to the machine or the server, wherever that's going to end up resting at the end. And then we can also import the data to Trimble Business Center as well from this page. So that's just a brief overview of what the Sync Manager and Trimble Access process is like. Now I'm just going to transition over to more of a live demo type format here. So on my computer, I have Trimble Sync Manager opened up. From here, we can make changes, or we can log in or log out up in the top right corner with our little username icon, and do some searching. Maybe you have, a couple hundred projects. The search bar will make it easier to search for a specific project. What I'm going to do is create a new project here. So I'm going to click the new button. I'm going to give it a name. You just need to pick a region and a license if you do have multiple licenses, and hit the create button. So at this moment, it's creating my project. Here I can select an image for the project. As you can see, I've got a couple here with an image there. Very easy to do. You just basically pick a JPEG file that's on your computer. Just makes it look pretty. Now I'm inside of my project. So you can see I named it webinar. So there's my project name. First thing I'm going to do is go all the way over here to the right to the properties button. So this is where I was showing that you can fill out these items here in the respective tabs. So if you do want a description, we can add that in. I mentioned that you have a web map that you can zoom into where the project is located. So I'm going to zoom in to where my project is at. And you'll see why that comes in handy in a little bit. Now I'm going to go over here to my template tab. I can add in templates, which just basically requires a JXL job or JOT file. I don't really have anything to add there, but when you add those templates, it just makes it a lot quicker to create projects with standardized properties and whatnot. Okay, so here's a big one that I like to use, this references page. So I can add in additional project data here. So I do have a bunch of data that I want the field user to be able to have access to. So I'm going to go up to where those data files are stored and select the files to add to the cloud. So I have DXF file, I have a control sheet HTML file, I have some parcel lines, I have a surface file, some section corners. I'll add those. I'm going to go back in there. I also have an aerial image that I want to add so that my field user has some sort of a background reference to work with. And let's see if there's anything else I want to add there. Nope, I think I'm good. Maybe this PDF. I have a plat for my job here. So adding in those that digital data for the project so that the field user can use that. Now I'm going to go down to reports. I'm going to add in a custom report. Those custom reports can be downloaded from this section down here at the bottom. So if you have a favorite report that you like to generate at the end of your survey, and you need that XSL file, that's the style sheet file, you can download those from here. So you just go through here, you find the zip file. Once you download the zip file, you're going to extract it. You're going to grab the XSL file and add it to this list up here at the top. So I've already done that. So I'm going to add in those style sheets. So these are my 4 style sheets that I want to generate at the end of the survey. And then team members. So I can invite another team member. Maybe I want to invite Jay to work on this project with me. All you have to do is just enter in their email address, assign them a role, and they'll get an email to stating that they're now part of the project. If you need to add multiple users, you can do that from this button here. Essentially, what this would have you do is import a CSV file containing a list of email addresses. Okay, so I'm ready to go. Got my project properties all set up, and now I'm ready to create a new job. So I can either click this new button here, I can hit the drop down button next to it, or I can hit the create new job button there. So right away, you'll see that all of those project files have been basically added into this section here. Basically just indicates that, hey, these are going to be usable with this job. If there are specific files that you want only associated to this one job, you can add in those files right here with this plus button. So let's give the job a name. If I have a reference number description, I can add those in, obviously, and then assignees. So when I add in my email address, what should happen is I'll get an email saying that, hey, this job's been created. Hop on your data collector, download it, and you're ready to go. So I'm going to fill out my job properties down here at the bottom. If you're a Trimble Access user, this should be pretty straightforward. Basically filling out my units, my coordinate system. So when you're defining your coordinate system in Sync Manager, what you're going to do if you're not using a scale only system is you're going to choose this define button. You'll notice that the map is zoomed right into where we had indicated in the project properties. So what this does is it loads a list of nearby coordinate systems, just right here in the list. Okay, so you can pick the coordinate system based on your zoom level, or we can just start typing in the coordinate system that we want to use. There we go, that's the one I want. If you want a specific geoid model and it's not showing in the list here, what you can do is come up top to the parameters tab, and this is where you can look at all the coordinate system parameters, but where we're going to want to go to add in a different coordinate system is under this vertical adjustment tab, and then we can browse to a specific GGF file. So if I did have a specific GGF file, this is basically pointing to the Trimble geodata folder on your computer. So if I want this geoid 12A-MN GGF file, there we go. Now I'll go back to my library tab, make sure everything's good there, and hit save. One last thing here, titled in red, is I need a project type, okay? I'm gonna type in an appropriate project type there. I can review all of my properties, looks good. Maybe mess around with my COGO settings if needed. That looks good to me. And then you have other settings there. All pretty much line up with what you're used to seeing in Trimble Access already. And then the last little piece to this is the job points. You can see here I have 0 job points. So these would be points that you can import into the job or embed into the job ahead of time. So this is basically a way to import points to the job before it goes out to the field. So you would just do that by clicking the Add Points button right here. What this will require is a job or a JXL file, at least at this point. Okay, I'm ready to create my job. Just gonna do a quick glance over. It's going to be put in the webinar project with this job name. Everything else looks good. We'll hit create. So now it's packaging everything up and shooting it off to the cloud. And now at this point, I'm going to hop over to my data collector. So got Trimble Access open here. With an internet connection, I can log into my Trimble ID, which is found from this button right here. So I'm going to quickly log in. And I can stay logged in if I want to there. All right, I'm logged in, kind of colorizes that button. And then below my local project, as you can see, this is a project I created on the data collector itself, so it doesn't have the cloud icon. Below that, we have these project names that are kind of grayed out, right? So this means that they haven't been downloaded to the controller just yet. So here is my webinar project. It's showing that I have the opportunity to download it. So I can download it by either clicking the download button in the lower right-hand corner or up here at this menu button, hitting download here. So as soon as I hit download it, it pauses at this screen. It's saying, here's all the project files that have been packaged up with the project, and it gives you an opportunity to skip any of these files. So to skip a file, we can tap and hold on it and then choose skip file. So if you know you don't need a specific file, you can do that. Otherwise, it's just going to download all of them. Okay, so now I'm looking inside of my webinar project. What I see inside of my webinar project is my webinar demo job that I had created in Sync Manager. It's also kind of grayed out because it hasn't been downloaded yet. And it's showing me that I have the opportunity to download. So I'll do that as well. So it's downloading the job file. And now what's happened is it's opened up the job file. I'm looking at my general survey map screen. I'm going to go back out to that job level right here and just pause here for a second. At this moment, if we need to do any sort of import, export, or copy, we can do that down here at the bottom. And we also have the opportunity to look at the properties of the job, okay? So if we need to make any changes, we can do that right here. Like maybe I want a feature code library, and maybe I want a couple active map files turned on. I'll do that one here just to start. Hit accept and open. So what I have is that georeferenced JPEG file that I added as a project file. And so that's showing georeferenced on my map screen. I can zoom in, and this is the area that I'm going to be working right here in this empty lot. What I want to do is start up my emulator. Obviously, since I'm doing this indoors here, I need to use my emulator. We just released a Tech Talk video on the emulator and how to use it. So if you didn't see that, here you go. On your Trimble Access 2018 or later device, I'm in the About screen under Support. I can choose GNSS Emulator. And then to set my base location, I'm just going to tap in the latitude box, tap where I want the base station to be located. Same thing with the rover. And if we scroll down here a little bit, we have receiver and joystick. I'm going to hit enter and accept. And then this little window will pop open. I'm going to minimize that. And what you should see now on your map screen, or at least on my map screen right now, I have my crosshair indicating my rover position. So I'm going to start up my survey. All right. All right, so now I can do what I need to do out in the field. So maybe I'm going to collect a couple points here just to show you what that looks like on the back end once we upload the job. Just going to do some rapid points here for time's sake. And let's measure. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. New ground shot, 0.100. I'm going to move my rover up over in this area. Take another shot over here. I can also use my joystick here to move around. And maybe I need to stake out some points. So one of the things I'm going to do here is turn on a map layer. So in my active map list, I can turn on my DXF, I can turn on some parcel lines, surface file. I'm going to probably stake out to the surface. So I'm going to activate the surface. And maybe there's some features on this DXF that I want to just kind of see what they are. So I'm going to activate that as well to be able to select and review some objects. I'm going to turn off that background just to clean the map screen up a little bit. And so now I have my line work and a surface file. And you can see here my fill value for my DTM. As I move around on the surface, that elevation should change. So I'm going to just do a quick stake out to this DTM quick, and call that 0.800. All right, and let's measure. Store that. Here's my as stake deltas.
Observations.
Apologies for that. Let's stake out one of these nodes. So for those of you who don't know this, DXF files, you can turn on the, you can create nodes on the intersections or just vertices on your lines, and you can stake those out. To do that, you just need to go into your settings here and create nodes. Okay, so you can do that with DXF shapefiles or land XML files. So that's how those nodes are showing up on my map screen. Otherwise, those wouldn't be there. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's maybe stake out this node right here and stake out. See where I'm currently at, and I'll use my joystick to get there. All right, so I'm close. I'm going to switch over to fine mode here if you're using the emulator. A little tip for you. I'm going to zoom into this here. I'm going to get somewhat close. And good enough. Measure out that point. Store that. My add stake deltas. Store that. Okay, so I have a couple topo points. I have a couple stakeout points. Now I'm ready to send the data back up to the office. So to do that, I'm going to hit my menu button, which brings up my menu options here. I'm going to choose the job name. And then now I'm going to do one of these few options here. You can hit the drop down arrow and say in progress. Okay, that lets the office person know that you're working on the job. If you're completely finished, you can change it to fieldwork complete, and that will start the upload. Otherwise, if you don't want to upload it or assign it as fieldwork complete, you can also hit this triple dot button and choose upload. So that's going to now upload the changes from the field back to the cloud. You can see here we have a check mark, meaning synchronized. I'm going to switch back over to the office. So back in the office here in Sync Manager, what we need to do is just refresh the job list. And you're going to see now the status just changed to in progress. It was last modified at this time. And here's the assignee. And let's go ahead and open up that job. So I just clicked on the job. And now we're going to just review the job. Basically make sure that the field person did everything as expected. All right. If you need to review any of the job information, here it is. So this drop down arrow here. And here is the survey fieldwork. So there were 3 maps that were enabled. There were a few other files. Okay. Those are all downloadable if you click them. And then the job points that I collected out in the field. So I have 5 points. There's my base station. Point 100 and 101 were just some normal ground shots, topo points. And then points 800 and 801 were some stakeout points. Okay, so you can review, just make sure you have northing, easting, and elevation values. If any rework is needed, now would be the time to hit this rework button. Okay. So what I'm going to tell Dylan is that need to stake out parcel lines and section corners. Okay. So what you'll want to make sure is that that person has the appropriate data to stake those out. So I can see here before I packaged up the parcel lines already, and section corners are there. If there is a need to add another file in, this is where you would do that. So I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to go up to my data files for this project. And just for example here, oops, I'm sorry. Let's see. I'm going to add in these control points. So the CSV file, I don't think I added that originally. So I'm going to add that in now. Hit save. And so what should happen is Dylan should see an email with that comment, and then now it switched it back to in progress. If in fact it had been fieldwork complete already previously. I'm going to go back to Trimble Access here. What I need to do is go to the project level. So we can get back to the project level right here. I'm going to refresh, and it's showing me I have something to download. Okay, so I need to go up here, hit the download button. Oop, I need to close my GNSS joystick first. Okay, and yeah, we'll power down the receiver there. All right, so there you saw there just briefly that the control points file downloaded. Hopefully you saw that. We're going to open up the webinar project, and now what we should be able to do is open up our job, and we should be able to see, let's see here, let's go back here to the job level, refresh. The CSV file would be a linked file, and here's the control point file. Let's add that in here, accept as a linked file, open, and might need to just zoom extents. Yeah, so here we have 0.34. That's the linked file of the control points for the job. So I have the ability to stake those out or do whatever I need to do with those. So all doing this remotely, not having to go back to the office or log on to a server to do that. I can have somebody kind of control that on the back end for me if I'm the person that's out in the field needing something right away. Okay, so just an example of that rework. We'll get back to the sync manager side of things and finish up. So back into the job, you can see that little comment of the rework that I had sent out. So it saves that information. So one of the things I wanted to show you were the reports. So I can generate the reports for this survey by just clicking the generate button. So what it's doing down here is it's generating those I think I had 4 reports added into my reports tab. So just doing a batch process there. And so I get my HTML files and my CSV files. And so I can open those up. I can check out my stakeout report. There we go. There's the 2 points I had staked out. Let's close that one. Survey report. So just a very simple and easy workflow to download those reports and view them. Okay, at the very end, if we want to package this all up now and save it to our local PC or server where all of our survey data gets archived to, we'll hit the download button. We're going to choose a folder where to save it to. So I'm just going to put it in here. I'm going to create a new folder called Final Data Set. Select that one. And here, slide this over. I have all of the information necessary for this project, or for this job, I should say. Okay. So all of those additional project files, linked files, there's the job file right there. There's it saves also a JXL file for you, and then any images in there as well. Okay, I think that's all I really wanted to go through in the live demo. So I'm going to push it back over to the presentation here. So just to summarize, this is a free data synchronization service for Trimble Access users. with the one caveat being that you're basically assigned to a controller that is under warranty. So you just need to make sure that your Trimble Access software warranty is valid, and that'll be a free data service for you. Creating projects, jobs in the office for better standardization. I've seen that come up with several companies where different field users are doing things different when they're setting up jobs. So this hopefully can better standardize things, and just an easy, quick way to download and upload files remotely, track the progress and changes throughout the survey process, and then if you want to, you can integrate this with Trimble Business Center with just the push of a couple buttons. So at this moment, we're going to kick it over to Jay, and then do some questions and answers. If you do have any need for the resources and links to kind of how to get going and some manuals, these are the resources here that I would advise using. Otherwise, contact your local Trimble dealer, and they should hopefully help you out in getting things started and answer any questions. So, Jay, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
I gotcha.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Dylan. Great job. Before we get to questions, we do have a few. Dylan, I don't know if you can see them there. Otherwise, I'll read them off to you. But I just want to touch quickly on one thing. So one thing we're kind of working on in this downtime is creating an online training portal here at Frontier. And we just have a couple of free hour-long training classes, I guess you could call it, on there. We just want to share with you guys if you're interested to just kind of continue with some training here. But we have a hour-long course on how to prepare for the NGS 2022 datum. And we also have a kind of a GNSS 101 getting started. Look, Dylan, can you move your TBC for us? Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Getting started with GPS. So the web addresses are here. I understand it's probably hard to, can't really click and copy and paste, but it's just frontierprecision.zohoshowtime.com/sessions. And then you have the how to prepare for the NGS 2022 and the GNSS 101. So we're feverishly working on building additional content. We'll have some paid and some free in-person and on-demand courses on there. So we invite everybody here, if you're looking for some more stuff to kind of just learn whatever you can during this downtime, definitely hop over there and register for those classes. Dylan, are you ready for questions? I have a few here for you.
Sure.
All right, I answered a couple of them, but the first one is, are you unable to assign users, or if you are unable to assign users, does that mean that they need to have an account in order to add them? So I'm assuming this means when you assign additional users to a project via email, do they have to have a Trimble account, or can they be assigned without that?
That's a good question, and hopefully I'm understanding it correctly. But I would advise that each user goes out and creates that Trimble ID to start, and then when it comes to adding the user, I would do that within the license manager. So you need to be the entitlement administrator, or at least log in with that email address in the license manager. And under the users tab, I believe that should be where you can add new users to the organization. If not, there's a couple other ways to add users to an organization. You can go through connect.trimble.com and add them through that portal. So if you are having troubles with that, maybe just try contacting us and we can handle that one offline.
Okay, thanks. The next question is, if the Trimble IDs are dependent on the controller's warranties, how does that work for a rentals only business? So I'm not quite sure what he's getting at there, but I would assume it doesn't matter as long as the controllers are under warranty, this will work, correct? And then you can change the logins on the controllers just by hitting that little connect icon and signing out or signing in. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, so the deal, since it is something where the user ID is assigned to a specific controller serial number, that might have to be something that you discuss with the company that you're renting the equipment from, as it does require that company to maintain their Trimble Access warranty. It also requires them to have to set up in their license manager you as the renter to have access to their Connect cloud. So it is it's not as straightforward if you are going through more of a rental type process. That'll definitely have to be something that you consider talking to the company that you're renting the equipment through. Yeah, a little tricky there.
Okay, thanks. Next one is there a way to download job files from Trimble Access if the job was created on a TSC3, maybe not necessarily through Sync Manager?
Yeah, so jobs can be created either in Sync Manager or in the field on the data collector. It's the project that has to be created in Sync Manager only. So if your job, let's say, here, maybe I can just kind of demonstrate this. I have on my data collector, I have a local project with a bunch of different jobs in it. So those jobs, there's not really a way for me to be able to upload those. I don't have an upload button here. So a little workaround that you can do is go in through your File Explorer under your Trimble data folder under projects. So I have my local project and my webinar project. What you could do is create a copy of your job that's found under your local project. So I'm going to copy that, go back to my webinar project, paste it there, and then let's see what happens if we refresh things. So I'm assuming this person that wants to synchronize an existing job that is currently on a local project level. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we, yeah, there it is. So I just had to refresh it there. Now this Bismarck office job, which was in my local folder, should be able to be uploaded there. Hopefully that answers your question, and hopefully I understood that correctly. Any others?
Let's see. This one is kind of the same. Invite users, existing Trimble account. I think we talked about that. Let me scroll down here. All right. So, some questions about integrating TBC into this. I know we just covered Sync Manager and didn't dive into the TBC side of things. But the question was, can I create a job in TBC and then upload it to Sync Manager? I'm assuming he's talking about the project in the upload process, or do we need to create the project in Sync Manager first?
Okay, so you can create the job inside of Trimble Business Center. Okay, so for instance, I have TBC open in the background there. So let's say I'm setting up this job. I want to set up the coordinate system appropriately for the area I'm working, and drop in any like control points or anything that you want to kind of just have ready. Oops. Oh, that's a file being used already. So regardless, we can set up in TBC all of the data that we want to send or sync to Sync Manager. So the tool that you're going to use is this Send to Sync tool. Okay. Any and all objects within your TBC project, whether it's points, line work, or surfaces, can be added in as a selection set and then sent using the send button over to Sync Manager. When that happens, what happens in Sync Manager, and you have to have this opened to a project before you hit that send button, what will happen is Sync Manager will start to create a brand new Trimble Access job. Okay, you'll give it a name. All of the files, so any of the points, line work, or surfaces that you sent over will be added to the job automatically. And I do believe that it also adds in the coordinate system detail. So with that type of workflow, it's basically just meant to prep your survey data ahead of time in TBC, select the items that you want to send through this Trimble Sync tool. You right before you hit the send button, you'll open up Sync Manager to the project that you want to send it to. Right when you hit send, it automatically creates a new job within Sync Manager with all the appropriate files. You hit the create button, upload it to the cloud, and you're ready to use it on the data collector. The reverse of that looks like this. Once we have the data downloaded back to the cloud from the field. Now that I have Trimble Business Center open on my computer, I see this Import to Trimble Business Center button. So when I click that, I get this little pop-up message. If I open up Trimble Business Center, I can hit this little import button. It's saying that the coordinate systems differ, so yeah, I'll convert it to the one that's coming in. And there are the points that I shot with the emulator. So it's just that simple to sync the files or import the job data to Trimble Business Center. You essentially just have to have TBC opened up and a blank project open for the most part. All right. Any other questions, Jay?
Yep. So next question from Richard is, if the project folder is created in Trimble Sync Manager, can daily job files be created in the data collector and then be shared through Trimble Connect, or are they stored as local jobs? So as long as and Dylan, jump in if I'm wrong here, I'm going to take a crack at this, but as long as the project has already been created in Sync Manager and you're working within that project in Trimble Access, any new job you create within that project, as long as it's already in Sync Manager, should sync back to the cloud once you mark it in progress or complete, correct?
Absolutely. You've got it.
All right.
Yeah, as long as you're working within a synchronizable project, you can create new jobs right here in the field. And those should be uploadable if we need to do that. So there you go. Just hit the upload button.
Perfect. All right, next question is, do all data collectors need to have up-to-date access versions or just one? I believe any collector you're going to use with this has to be up to date, correct?
Yeah. Okay. So if you need to know if your collector is under warranty, first of all, you're going to go to the About page, okay, and just make sure that your software maintenance expiration date hasn't been surpassed. You just need one controller, but remember, one controller limits you to only 3 users. Okay, so you get 3 users per controller under maintenance. So if you have 9 users, but only one controller is under maintenance, then there's 6 people that aren't able to take use of the synchronization Trimble Sync Manager and Trimble Access Sync tools. As far as the version goes, I want to say that so anything 2018 and above for Trimble Access version will work. I don't know how far back it goes. I know that I've tested it out with Trimble Access 2017.24 for sure. And that you can set up to allow for access sync in there. You just gotta log in with an online, just kind of the same way we did here with your Trimble ID. And that should work to be able to synchronize your files. I don't know how far back that dates to, so I couldn't really give you an answer on that.
And that was actually our next question here, if it works on older versions. And I'm pretty sure it works on the 2017 versions. I'd have to look at how far back you would go. But what you do is on the main access the home screen there, you can see where his login is. If you just pick that bar, then under the mode, you can choose Trimble Connect. And as long as you see Trimble Connect there in the pull down, you can sign in with your Trimble ID and still use this Access Sync service. It just works through Trimble Connect, and because the old platform isn't around anymore. It's not quite as user friendly as the 2018 version, but it can definitely be utilized. Dylan's just kind of showing
Yep.
you a quick example there on how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is, just to confirm, we need to get the licenses added to our sync account by our dealer. So I think I understand what he's asking there, but the main thing is your warranty on your controller. If you need to update that warranty, that obviously you would purchase or get taken care of through your dealer. But to set up the sync manager, all you should have to do is go to that website and download it, and then tie it to your Trimble ID. And I believe, Dylan, do we set up the serial number on our end, or do they do that on their end during that process?
So in order to create the Trimble Connect business account, the dealer has to be involved in that process. Because what we do is we assign the entitlement administrator within our database.
Gotcha.
And that's what creates the Connect business account. So you have unlimited projects and unlimited file storage.
Okay, Mark. So the short answer to Mark's question is yes. Work with work with us if you need to get the warranty updated, and then B, work with us to get the account tied to your serial number. We can definitely help with that.
Yep.
Let's see. Does the administrator also have to be a user?
Yes, the administrator will be a user. I'm fairly certain of that. So I've seen people who actually just go and create a Gmail account to be the entitlement email so that anyone can really log in with that. I've seen people that actually have like their survey manager within their company assigned as the entitlement administrator. But yeah, that username, the entitlement administrator username, I do believe that becomes one of the three users under at least the first controller.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that. I could check in and just make sure of that, but
okay.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling.
All right. Well, that's all of our questions, Dylan. Can you just pull up the last slide really quick?
Yep.
Yeah, that one. Okay, so again, so some of the stuff you have to work through your local rep there to get, the business account set up, or your warranty updated. So I just wanted to throw this up there so everybody had their local office phone numbers for us. With that said, we're going to close this out. I do kind of want to tease one more webinar. We're going to do another one next week, Wednesday. So watch our social media and stuff when we send out the registration. But again, we're going to do a webinar next week, Wednesday, and that is going to be on a LiDAR case study that we did here in Minnesota, comparing kind of traditional survey methods to mobile and aerial LiDAR, as well as photogrammetry, to just kind of see how everything is matching up and how it all kind of compares to each other. So again, stay tuned for that. And thank you everybody for attending. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you all next week.